Welcome to Elements Elevating Elaborate Explanations, played from coast to coast like an M&M roast, from airlines to fault lines, from Northwest to the Midwest, all the rage on this YouTube page and the other environments of the web. Welcome. Tally Hall is one of the hidden gems of the internet, one of those things that you discover from an offhanded YouTube recommendation. Slowly work your way through the entire library of their work, and then when you try to talk to your friends about it, they're like, never heard of it. And despite your attempts to show them how cool that thing is, they never really see what the big deal is. But that's fine. I guess there are some things we are never meant to know. Welcome to Tally Hall is a song off the band's debut album, Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum. I highly recommend that before you watch this video, you go out and experience the whole album for yourself, if you've got an hour to spare. 1, support your artists, but 2, because you're going to want to have a blind run-through to understand what I'm talking about. If you're going to be introduced to a band, sometimes there's a best way to do so. Which leads me to the topic of today's video. How do you make a good introduction? First impressions are everything, and you only get one. So why does Tally Hall do such a good job? Spoiler, because they tell you everything you need to know about the band in the first 3 songs. The first 3 songs, shouldn't one do the trick? Well, ideally, yes. If you can encapsulate your band's essence in one song, that's going to be an excellent way of letting your audience understand what you're all about. They do manage to do that with Welcome to Tally Hall, but in this case, I think Marvin's is actually strengthened by the fact that before we get an explanation or introduction, the album lets us experience a few samples of the product. Because despite the title of the song being Welcome to Tally Hall, this song isn't actually the introduction to the album. In fact, there are 2 songs that come before it on the track listing. Marvin's opens with Good Day, a song that definitely falls on the more experimental side of Tally Hall's music range. And keep that visualization in mind, because it'll come up again in a bit. Good Day begins with the line,
I like to say hello and welcome you, good day, that is my name.
Which, for what it's worth, does actually introduce us to the album. The song continues with a mixture of upbeat and tender tones, with some cryptic, if not seemingly random, lyrical choices, a commonality among many Tally Hall songs. We won't really get too much into the rest of Good Day, just know that it's a good representation of the type of experimental music that Tally Hall likes to make. Moving past Good Day, the second song of the album is Greener. Once again, while the lyrics in the song don't hold much importance to this analysis, the tones and themes of the song do. Greener is about 2 people moving apart and the pains that come with it. It's closer to what might be considered or expected of a normal indie rock song. Not that that's a bad thing. In fact, Greener is one of my favorites off the album, but in terms of the Tally Hall range of musical tastes, it's nearly on the opposite end of the spectrum from Good Day. From the beginning of the album, we're thrown into the organized confusion that is Tally Hall's calling card, and then swing like a pendulum to see a more heartfelt and endearing side of the band. Nearly their full range is on display in the first 2 songs, giving the listener a chance to experience and get to know the band before they're actually introduced to the band. The listener has had a taste, they're interested, and now Tally Hall has some explaining to do. And that's exactly what we get.
Welcome to Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum, known from coast to coast like butter and toast, from headlines to bedlines, from pool room to pool room. No other place in the contiguous United States or other environs of the world. Welcome.
Right away, we're met with the title of the album, Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum. And in fact, this is the only time in the album we are going to hear that full name said aloud. I mean, we'll hear more about Marvin and Taken for a Ride, but that's besides the point. Just a side note, beautiful name for an album. I love it. It just rolls off the tongue so well. Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum. Accompanying Marvin as he introduces his exhibits are the sounds of a carnival, music and dings and bustle and mechanical outbursts, setting the chaotic atmosphere for the rest of the song. But slowly emerging comes a single electronic tune, almost as if something has caught our eye and we're now coming into focus on a single display of this mechanical museum.
Can I get a T? And if you hit me with the A-L-L-Y, then you'd see why the hall is here for y'all. Well, the mini mall is calling us all in.
Rob Cantor in his yellow tie finally reveals who is behind the performance we've been watching unfold, giving the band's full name and alluding to the mall it was taken from. Oh yeah, apparently not only is the album named after a real place, the band is named for the Michigan mall that the museum was located in. So that means while the song serves as an introduction to Tally Hall the band, in the context of the song itself, it's also introducing us to Tally Hall, the mall.
So kids, pack up your mom's car, back up the Windstar, kick it in drive, and arrive at the Mega Mart.
We get a reference to the Ford Windstar, the poster child of the mom van, and something the band likely would have used to get to their earlier gigs.
Slide the side hatch with pride, cause your ties match.
It's funny, because their ties are the only thing on their outfits that don't match.
On booty duty like your name was Eddie Thatch.
Eddie Thatch was thought to be the name of the infamous pirate Blackbeard, and besides booty duty being a double entendre, we'll get more pirate iconography later. For some reason.
WWTHD, we like to kick it at the university, but all work and no play makes us crazy, so we jump in the bumpin' SUV.
WWTHD. What would Tally Hall do? Likely hang out at the University of Michigan, where Tally Hall was formed, again with a reference to the Windstar SUV.
Hit the street, tunes on one. Do a donut on your mama's fun lagoon. And sooner than you know, from the rock and roll show at the Tizzy Hizzy, we'll be gone.
And with the first verse done, we have a pretty good basis of knowledge about Tally Hall. They're an indie rock band of rowdy college students playing out of a mall in Michigan. It really paints a picture of who is behind the music and lets the audience familiarize themselves with the artists.
We're in the mini mall, working the carnival. We like to play it all. Welcome to Tally Hall.
To blame.
The automated players, I proclaim.
Then comes the chorus and bridge. The chorus seems to imply that Tally Hall is just another animatronic display at the museum, an idea followed up later on in the song. It's an interesting way to present the band, and it's a bit of a parody of the music industry already, especially with modern bands like K-pop and other late capitalist adventures in the music industry. We are seeing more robotic bands, more factory line production. There's less personality, real personality behind the bands that we're listening to. And this is the kind of a parrot of that property of the music industry, because it's literally presenting the band as just animatronic displays going about singing the song as if they don't have anything else they could be doing. That is all they're good for, which is an interesting take. But whether or not the whole thing is just an act, we're then introduced to the band members by their tie colors, with an abundance of personality. Yellow tie, Rob Cantor, who writes the band's bittersweet love songs. Red tie, guitarist Joe Hawley, who hits us with a wave of that gnarly amp. Gray tie, Ross Fetterman, the silent drummer who's taken some shots of that daddy soda. Green tie, Andrew Horowitz, who plays the keyboard, hence the clever bit about a locksmith. And finally, blue tie, Zubin Segi. A narrating bass player who has carried us through this entire verse. This is it. We're done with the intros, we know the band members. It's time to get into the nitty-gritty of what Tally Hall can really do. By now, we're more or less familiar with the band. Let's get to hear some more music.
I gotta flick off the switch and we'll ignite the night in pitch. Singing songs you like to hear, and the world will disappear. Then we'll be glowing in the dark, lighting up the park, revealing that the hall is a place that aims to please with unpredictable game and antiquity. The collectible, so delectable, the unreliable styles undetectable.
Joe Hawley shows off his extensive vocabulary and, in turn, the wide range that Tally Hall music tends to stretch across. English rap to robotic tunes, the content of each song is truly unpredictable. And I think that this verse really encapsulates the spirit of the band. And here's where we get to the good part. These next lines are quite possibly some of my favorite out of any Tally Hall songs. They just flow together so well, and it's
We're stereosonic, we're animatronic, we're rocking with the global electronic environment. A quick distraction, a mechanic attraction, got a penny in your pocket but it's locked.
Red hits the mark with some of the most unique rhymes I've ever heard, with a robotic voice modifier coming in halfway through to fit the mood and really match what they're saying, and the entire time, the instrumentals are slowly ramping up until we get a release of that tension with that sweet, sweet saxophone. And as the tunes hit their peak, we get a callback to the automated players line and theme of verse 2, delivered again with some spectacular wording.
Hey ho, don't you know, it's a good old-fashioned puppet show. That's right, quite the set, we're the marionette quintet. We think we're playing in a band, but we love to give you all a hand.
Cut to some strong keyboard and more instrumentals, and then back to the chorus with some pirate args in the background.
We're in the mini mall, working the carnival. We like to play it all. Welcome to Tally Hall.
And as we come to the final lyrics of the song, the vocal all of Hall builds up alongside the drums, coming to a peak as the entire band joins in with the clapping audience. The instruments drop out, and we're left with delusional puppets clapping along as they call out to the audience, literally giving the audience a hand, or applause, before they receive the same. But then, the carnival around us fades back in. And the many sights and sounds overtake the marionette display as mechanical gears pick up speed, clinking louder and louder and louder until they reach a steady pace in the next song, Taken for a Ride. This album does a wonderful job of transitioning from song to song, especially here, like with the tweeting birds of Good Day going into the plucking guitar of Greener, or how 13 seems like a missing piece of the ruler of everything. It starts to blend together, giving a solid experience that you need to listen to the whole album in order to really understand. Through and through, Welcome to Tally Hall has given us a perfect rundown of everything that Tally Hall is about. Fun, wacky tunes, and people who love making and experimenting with music. We know what to expect, and we want more. And with that good first impression, I think we're all really welcome to Tally Hall. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I'm new to this whole video essay thing, so this was a bit cobbled together. Go ahead and check out the rest of the channel if you enjoyed it. I could use the dopamine from the like notifications. If you like more stuff like this, more Tally Hall content, or just general music reviews and theory in general, or you want to recommend a song, an album, a band, go ahead and comment it down below. I'll take a look. So until next time, peace out and freak out.